Okay folks, I do apologise about the completely crap camera angle. You can practically see up my nose. Yeah, it's another very short driving waffle. Just want to give you a wee background to my week. Suffice to say, the last 7 days haven't been very good for lots of different reasons. The first one, last Saturday night, I was out in the car and I just got home. I just arrived home. I'd reverse parked into. I live in a mid-terrace house, and I've got a parking space outside my house. So I just reversed. It's an automatic car, by the way, that I've got. I just reversed into the driving space like I do. I've done thousands of times. And if you've ever driven an automatic, you will know that unlike a kind of gear, a manual car, it's if you take your foot off the brake, the car moves forwards. It's like driving a go-kart. It always wants to move, and it's the same way when you're reversing. When you're reversing, if you take your foot off the brake, it will start reversing. So I'd reversed into my drive, or no, it's not a drive as such. It's just a parking bay right outside my house. I just reversed into that, and I put the brake on, the handbrake. Now the handbrake is just a little switch, a little switch that you kind of flick up the way. So I put that on, or at least I thought I'd put it on, and then I turned to my left hand side to like face the passenger seat. I had some stuff sitting on a seat, and next thing I knew, the car was moving backwards. It mounted the curb. I've got a path that's outside my front door. It went across the path, knocked down my front garden fence, and then it hit my house. Now I had the two dogs; they were in the back. When it happened, I was just the airbags deployed. What didn't help was I actually had a bowl of curry with a lid in it. Now you can imagine what's the mess it's going to make. I had this bowl of curry, and the curry went everywhere, as you'd expect. So if anybody didn't know it was curry and they saw me, they'd think, oh my god, that guy's head has just exploded. I was just in a complete state of shock. I knew what had happened, but I was like, what the fuck? And a passerby, obviously watched it happen, and he came across to me, says, "Are you okay? You alright?" I says, "Yeah, listen, I'm absolutely fine. I'm just I don't know what's happened." I says, "I'm fine though." And the car that I've got, it's got this automatic emergency phone thing. So if you're in a car accident or whatever, it automatically dials like the emergency services. So as soon as it happened, I could hear this little woman on the phone trying to ask me details. Now I was like, what? And I just said, I says, "Look, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine." See, that annoys me. That guy in the motorbike has just this minute came right up and he's just gone in front of me. Maybe he's in the right, I don't know. But yeah, I was just a bit confused, and I said to the person, I says, "Look, I'm fine. I don't need emergency services. I'm fine." And I hung up. So I got out of the car, and the car was against my house wall. My dogs were fine. They were in the back of the car, but they were absolutely fine. I had to, because the car was against the wall, I couldn't move the car. The car would not move. So I had to kind of lean in into the boot. Now bear in mind all the glass had smashed. I had to lean in, lift the dogs out. Now rather surprisingly, nobody had actually, none of my neighbours came out, so you know it couldn't have been that noisy. So I tried to start the car, but because it's an automatic and it's a modern car, it's all tied into the battery, so really absolutely nothing would work. The car wouldn't start. When I was trying to switch it on, it was coming up with errors and diagnostic damage to engine and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, the car wouldn't move. So I went to my next door neighbours, and he's like, bloody hell, what's happened? I explained to him what had gone on, and him and his mate and myself tried to push the car out of my garden back to where the parking bay was, and it wouldn't budge. It simply wouldn't budge. I mean, it's an estate car. It's a big heavy car. I don't know, it's probably 2.5 tons, maybe more, I don't know. It wasn't going to move. But what we then realised was, because it's like automatic brakes, whatever, the back wheels, the handbrake was on, so the wheels would not turn. So you're trying to push, you're effectively trying to push a 2.5 ton object. Now bear in mind, it was you're trying to push it over stones, over chips, so it was impossible. So he's got a works van. He got the works van out. He's got a tow rope. It wasn't, to be fair, it was a pretty flimsy looking tow rope. Put that on, and the tow rope snapped. So then he went away and he got some rope, and fair play to him, he managed to pull the car out of my garden and kind of back to the parking space. The weird thing was, excuse me, although the car wouldn't move, whatever, the headlights were on, couldn't turn them off. Then the windscreen wipers came on, so there was obviously various short circuits and what have you that was causing the car to go kind of haywire. So I thought, well, there's nothing I can do. What I did was I actually got some black bags, and I covered the lights, because I didn't want to blind people, and secondly, I didn't want people coming to my door at 2 o'clock in the morning, oh, you've left your lights on, mate. So I tried to cover them, but yeah, the windscreen wipers went on, even though they were turned off. They were going, which was a bit weird. But then about midnight, this was about 7:30 on Saturday night, and then about midnight, about 11:30 at night, I heard a car alarm going off, and I thought, what's the chances it's my car? And so I looked out the window, and lo and behold, my car alarm was going off, and it went off for maybe 30 seconds, and then it stopped. I thought, that's good. Then about 10 seconds later it goes on again, and this kept happening. So I went back outside, and to be honest with you, I didn't know what to do. My neighbour, who had successfully pulled me out of my garden, he came out, and he managed to climb into the car, and he disconnected the battery to effectively silence the car. So that was a Saturday night, and then was it a Tuesday? Monday, Tuesday? I think it was a Tuesday actually. I phoned up. I phoned up that night, so it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I phoned up, reported the accident, told them what had happened, and then on the Tuesday, the guy turned up about 8 o'clock at night to take the car away. Now it was pitch dark at this point, and I'm thinking, would it not have made sense to come during the day? So he said to me, can you start the car up because we need to turn the brakes, we need to turn the handbrake off. I says, well, the car will not start. He went, well, why not? I says, because we've disconnected the battery. And he's like, why did you do that? I says, because the fucking car alarm was going off. We couldn't have the car alarm going off indefinitely. So he was bloody grumping and moaning, and he was trying to put the battery back in, and he couldn't manage it because he was like he was standing outside the car, and he was trying to put the battery in from like outside. Couldn't manage it. So I said, look, I'll get into the car and see if I can get it working. So because it's all automatic ignition, there is a manual key that's contained within the sort of the key, if you know what I mean. You wait to press this little button and then you get a manual kind of key pops out. So we eventually figured out how to get into the car. I then climbed over into the boot where the battery had been disconnected, and after a lot of faffing about, I mean, the guy didn't have any tools, he didn't have a torch. It's like, you're the breakdown guy. And so anyway, managed to get the battery back in. Nothing, battery was completely dead, there was no power, anything going to it. So he brought out a kind of jump start battery pack thing, whatever it is, probably one of these ones you see in Temu, probably costs like 5p. So he brought that out, connected it up, still nothing. So by this time he was getting really agitated, it was about 9 o'clock at night. So then he said, right, what we need to do is we'll just have to try and pull the car up the ramp, but I need to get the what do you call it? Why would you just stop there in the middle of the road, seriously? He said, I need to be in a straight line to the car. He said, I can't get forwards because there's a car parked. He says, is that one of your neighbours? Can you get them to move the car? I says, well, that car belongs to a guy who doesn't actually live in the street. He's gone out with this little old woman, and he comes to see her every couple of days. So I says, no, I can't get him because he might not be there. But then lo and behold, the guy we're talking about, he pulled up in the street. He's got another car. So I asked him, I says, can you move this car so this guy can get the lorry in so he can reverse and get the car onto the transporter? And he went, I can't because the car battery of this car's flat. So it was like, it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Anyway, cut a long story short, I managed to get one of my other neighbours to move the car, and eventually we managed to get the sort of the pickup truck in a straight line. So he connected the BMW up using a wire, and but because it wasn't straight, you know, can you imagine pulling a car up a ramp that's not straight? We had, as he was winching the car up using the wire, me and my neighbour had to like push the back end out the way to try and effectively straighten the car up. So we did that, and after about half an hour we managed to get the car onto the lorry. I don't know how they managed to get the car off. So the damage was the rear bumper was completely smashed in. Funnily enough, the rear mirrors were still working, which was bizarre. The glass of the boot lid was completely smashed in. I think there's obviously been, because it's like a computer. It's like if the power pack doesn't work, you can't switch a computer on when the PSU doesn't work, and it's like that with a modern car. No batteries, you can't do anything. So I don't know what other damage there was. My fence is totally trashed. I'm not going to say a blessing in disguise, but to be fair, the fence was needing repaired, it was needing replaced. So I'm not altogether upset that I'm having to get a new fence. The only damage that I can see to the house is a bit of the harling, you know, the kind of the stone chip thing. A bit of the harling, about, I don't know, maybe 3 inches by 2 inches, it's fallen off. So it's very, very minimal. I have noticed inside the house, the wall that took the impact, up above, there's a few little cracks have appeared. Nothing major. That's obviously down to the fact that there was a 2.5 ton object hitting it at 5 miles an hour. So yeah, that was that. So then I contacted the insurers to find out what was going on, and then I said, can you tell me about the property damage? I says, and I've also hurt myself. I said, I've got a sore side. My left hand side is really tender. I said, I have been to the doctor, and they're happy that there's no lasting damage, there's no broken bones or anything, internal bleeding, anything like that. It's just a bit of bruising. Then they came back to me and said, oh no, you can't claim, because there was no third party involved, you cannot claim for personal injury. I'm like, right, okay. Now to me that opens a bit of a can of worms, because I'm thinking, what would happen if I was driving for work and I was involved in a car crash, say I skidded and crashed into like a concrete bollard or something? What would happen? I don't know. Then I said, well, what about my property? What about my fence in my house? And then he came back and says, nope, because there is no third party involved, it was like, effectively it was like self-inflicted damage, which is bullshit, because I did not deliberately reverse into my garden. You know, I think that's absolutely fucking outrageous. But, you know, that was it. I didn't see any point in trying to argue with them, so I've had to raise a claim through my my building insurance. I'll have an excess to pay. So that's that. So yeah, they came out with a courtesy car a couple of days ago. I've got a little Vauxhall Corsa. It's all right. I mean, it's not a patch in the car I had, but you know what? It's a nice little car. I don't mind. You know, it's a car. I'm lucky to have a car. So yeah, my side is healing up a wee bit. Still sore. Not as bad. Nowhere near as bad as it was a couple of days ago. My boss at work did say he's been great. He's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, I told my director, and he just said, look, the important thing is that you're all right. Cars can get fixed. Don't worry about it. So, you know, my work has been really good. My line manager's been great. Though he did say to me, I'm going to give you a week's grace, and then after that I'm going to take the absolute piss out of you, because it's quite funny, when I phoned to report the accident, they asked me what my job title is, and I'm like, do I have to tell you? And yeah, I went health and safety manager. So yeah, you can imagine how that went. So that was that. That's the car episode. So that's been, yeah. It's, you know what surprises me is how it affected me. I don't mean physically. Just, it's really brought me down. Just, I think it's such a car crash, and it's still classed as a car crash. It's such a violent thing, you know. 5 seconds earlier I had a perfect car, my house was intact, my fence was in place. Excuse me. 5 seconds later, gone. And yeah, it surprised me how much it's affected me, actually. I know I'm really lucky. I mean, it doesn't even bear thinking about if that had happened and I was in a Asda car park. You imagine if I was in a busy car park and the car shot backwards. You could knock somebody down, you could hit another car, you know. It just doesn't even bear thinking about, you know. So I'm very lucky. But it's easy done. It's such an easy thing, you know. It's funny, because that's happened, I'm now kind of paranoid, it's going to happen again. I mean, I've been driving since 1985. I'll let you do the maths. That'll be, in fact, this year, yeah, August this year, I have been driving for 40 years. Fucking hell. There's people watching my channel that are not even 40. I've been driving since 1985. And I have only been involved in 3 accidents. One happened in the late 80s. Somebody was in front of me at a roundabout. They pulled out. I looked to the right and pulled out, and then they decided to stop, and I hit them. I mean, it was a slow one. A couple of years ago, I was at a roundabout, and I was sitting at a roundabout waiting to pull out, and this car just came right up, smack, right into me. So that one wasn't my fault, and this one, I don't actually deem it as my fault. I didn't reverse into the house. I had stopped. The car was parked, but for whatever reason, something's happened. The handbrake either didn't go in properly. There's been something's happened, and it's caused the car to do that. That's the thing about these like modern cars. On a manual car, you pull the handbrake, you can feel that the brake's on. You press a button, there's no tactile feel. You're just having to guess and assume and hope that the brake's on. And I'm sure 999,000 times out, 100,000 times it'll work. But you know, I'm sure I probably didn't put the brake on properly. I probably didn't press it in far enough, or something like that. Something's going wrong that's caused it. But yeah, it just shows you guys just how an accident can actually happen. It's scary. It really is. So that's been my kind of week. The second half of the week, the last couple of days, hasn't been good either, for things that I'm not going to talk about. Yeah, it's been a shit week. It really has. But you know what? As I say to people, and I've said that to people in the past, life is ups and downs. You know, Ronan Keating had it. He had it on the money. Life is indeed a roller coaster. You've just got to ride it. You know, things can be going great. You know, life is good. You know, you got money. You're going on holiday. Everything's going great. You've just got a new job. You've just got yourself a new gaming system. Whatever. But you know, everything is temporary. Good times and bad times. And then just in the blink of an eye, something can happen. And yeah, I mean, you know, from a personal point of view, my fence almost blew down a couple of weeks ago. I've reversed the car, and well, I didn't reverse the car, but the car reversed into my house, and then I've had a shit couple of days for personal reasons. So I'll tell you one thing though, I said that to my boss, having my job has been a right positive. It's kept me focused. It's given me something to kind of concentrate on, and I'm grateful for that, because it's easy when you know things aren't maybe going so well, whatever, and you just dwell in it, whatever. So having my kind of job has been quite a big thing. It's been good. So anyway, listen, I did manage to do a short live stream on, was it Wednesday, I think it was. Yeah, I was showing off the Pi 500 running a 1 terabyte image of everything from every gaming system you could possibly think of. Really good, really impressed with A, the collection of games, and B, how well the actual Pi plays games. Really, really good. There was a few people actually commented on the video saying that they were like thanking me for doing the video, and they were saying how, you know, it's kind of opened their eyes as to how far like these Raspberry Pis have actually come. So yeah, anyway, listen folks, somebody did actually comment, I can't remember who it was, somebody commented, asked me a question a couple of weeks ago about, they were asking, whilst they enjoy my driving waffles, they are concerned that I'm not paying attention on the road, and I did want to reassure them that when I'm talking, I'm not reading anything, I'm still completely concentrating. It's like sitting with somebody in the seat, you've got your mate in the passenger seat, you're talking to them, so I'm absolutely fine doing this. So anyway folks, listen, I'm going to get going. I hope you have a good weekend. I'm hoping for a drama-free weekend. We'll see what happens. All going well. I'll be along on Sunday night, hopefully. And yeah, anyway folks, thank you very much for all the continued support, you know, really appreciate it. Again, apologies about the video where you can see on my nose, you can see all my nasal here. So until next time folks, as always, thank you very much for watching.